Welcome to Ask Fear and Greed, where we take your questions and do our best to answer them. I'm Michael Thompson, and good afternoon, Sean Aylmer.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Now, Sean, today's question has come in from Darren via LinkedIn, and it is a good question. It is a good question in that I have no idea how to answer it, so I'm going to be relying very heavily on you today. He says, my question is on tax reform. If a government needs, for example, $100 billion to run, what difference would it make in how it actually receives its income? What are the benefits to the economy for tax reform?
Wow. What a question. How long is a piece of string?
Well, let's assume the piece of string is about 4 minutes long here.
Okay. So, Michael, let's say you wanted to find an extra $100 million. Mm-hmm. Where would you get it? Would you think that the taxpayers of Australia, people who get income tax, should they pay for it? Do you think that companies should pay for it? Do you think that the GST should pay for it? So that 10% extra we pay on goods and services that we purchase, should they pay for it? Or you want to get that $100 million, maybe we should stop giving discounts to people with large superannuation balances or people who have investment homes and negative gear their houses. So that's another way to get it. What would you do, Michael?
That is tough. I would probably go for, I was going to say companies, but really GST, I would probably look at that because it's quite fair. It feels like it's spread across everybody then. But then again, that's a very difficult one to do politically because no one wants to be out there campaigning to raise the GST. I don't know. Is there a correct answer here, Sean?
No, absolutely not. And so if you're Labor, no. So if you're Labor, you tend to think more about taxing corporates. So this is very, very much a generalisation. So I suppose it's even a bit rough saying it. But broadly, company tax, those sorts of things, the debate we've had in the last couple of weeks around negative gearing. So negative gearing, capital gains tax concessions, those types of things that Labor is talking about, they broadly help those that have money already. So, you've got an investment home, you've got to have a fair bit of money. The idea is actually not giving you as much of a discount in terms of capital gains tax might be fair and reasonable to many people. So Labor would think more that way. If you're a Conservative, you're less likely to tax companies. In fact, Conservatives broadly think you should have less taxes because if more money in people's hands, more money in companies' hands, then that is a good way to stimulate the economy. So if you want to get more money, actually give it to people who are going to spend it, and that stimulates the economy. Yep. So there is no right answer to this question. It's just whatever your preference, whatever the government of the day's preference is to how they spend the money. If you think of the stage 3 tax cuts that the Albanese government changed, originally they were going to help the middle class and those earning more money. In the end, they were changed so that the lower income people actually got a break as well. So that's an example of the government kind of changing how it distributes the money. But in terms of collecting taxation, it's all in the eye of the beholder, really. It's, Labor, Liberal, whatever.
What about then, say, look at the state-based taxes? Yes. Because then you have some of those things like that are considered to be really inefficient taxes, like
payroll tax, stamp duty.
And stamp duty on property.
Yeah.
For instance, if stamp duty was removed or reduced, then it would potentially encourage a lot more people to sell properties and perhaps to move through properties faster, and in doing so, free up more housing supply for if they have more bedrooms and they need to kind of upsize or downsize. It's easier to do that. It's not seen as a roadblock to kind of people moving through. So while there is a lot of money coming in through these state-based, rather inefficient taxes, you would think that there would be other benefits to offset.
Yeah, I agree with you, but how do you pay for the police force?
Yeah, indeed.
You don't get the stamp duty.
Yeah. And that's the problem then with reform, isn't it? That you can kind of do things to streamline processes elsewhere and to kind of free things up and maybe stimulate a bit of activity. But in doing so, you're going to cost yourself on the revenue side.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you mentioned it's political. The capital gains I think was 2.3 million people have an investment property. That's 2.3 million people, the vast majority who are going to vote against the government who decides to drop negative gearing. Yeah. So politically very, very difficult to change.
Yeah. Goodness me. It is a great question though, isn't it?
It is a great question.
You know who would love this question as well?
Oh God, no. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
Our colleague, Adam Lang, who is the judge on the weekend edition of Fear and Greed. And all you have to do is whisper the words tax reform and just his eyes light up and his little notebook comes out and you are in for up to 3 hours of ideas.
That's on a good day.
Yeah, that is on a good day.
That's when he's tired.
So he is going to be fascinated by this, and he will be marveling at the fact that we fit in a discussion on tax reform into about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Impossible. Unheard of. Thank you, Darren, for the question, and thank you, Sean, for answering it.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Darren.
And remember, if you have your own question, anything that you would like us to tackle, then please send it on through via LinkedIn, as Darren did, or head to Instagram or Facebook, or even just go to fearandgreed.com.au and send your question through and we will add it to the list. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is Ask Fear and Greed.